What is going on, guys? I'm pumped to announce we're going to be going back to Windrock.
Freaking excited!
If you don't know, we were just there in May of this year, had a blast. We decided to go back, so we're going to be at Windrock the entire week of Thanksgiving. So if you happen to be out there too, and you see us, say hi. Our last trip there, our machines really weren't prepared for that type of riding. I'd love to say that we're going to be prepared this time, but we're not. I'd say Dude is probably the closest to really being prepared. Those Rockzillas do awesome there. You guys have recently seen he got some full doors. He's got the Midwest Dirt Fiend cage. We just put a full windshield on his machine. That's kind of what this is for. We don't really know what the weather is going to be like at the end of November, so we're trying to be prepared for anything. So Dude's 21 Pro XP will be pretty good to go for this trip. So I've been doing some stuff on my 2020 Pro XP to prep for this trip. It's not going to be where I want it to be, but you know, we're taking some steps forward in areas, some steps backwards in areas. So after we did that first drag racing video where we raced all the units, we started noticing a squeal coming from my clutch housing. Kind of thought maybe I slipped the belt's on its way out, or worst case scenario, we thought maybe the bearing in the clutch was going, and it turned out to be neither of those. My machine has the STM Rage 3 primary billet clutch, and that's what was squeaking, not the factory one. Upon taking it apart, I noticed two of the cam arms were squeaking. I took one of them out completely and the pin is worn. So I'm sure those bushings are a little worn. If that was the only problem, I could fix that easily myself. What I'm unable to fix is this. I hope it shows, but the rollers are worn and seized up. The problem with those is I don't have the tools to take the spider off on this clutch. So I was at the point where I either have to get tools or send it into STM. So what I ended up doing was searched high and low through the garage here, and I found my factory clutch that came on this machine. And originally I took it off because of the stop ride, and they didn't have a resolution at that time. So that's when we got this STM clutch, and it's kind of been on ever since. So once I found my factory clutch, I knew that I had never had it inspected. I just put it in a box and left it because Polaris won't inspect it unless it's on the machine. So I called my local dealership. They said they'll inspect it if everything is factory in the clutch housing. So I threw the factory one back on, took it in, and they inspected it. It passed 2 years late, but we finally got it done, so I have that on. So the good is my machine can go to Windrock. The bad is it doesn't have a clutch kit, so we have to go tuneless. I have that Stage 3 aftermarket Assassin's tune, which I love, and not going to be able to use it this trip. I understand places like Windrock, you don't necessarily need more power, and that's not the bummer of the whole situation. These machines from the factory are kind of detuned in low, so the Stage 3 tune doesn't fully get rid of that, but it does help a lot in low. So that's a bummer, but the important thing is I get to drive my machine at Windrock again. So we'll make do with what we got here. As you probably noticed in the background, my machine now has a full windshield as well. I've gone over it a bunch of times, but the MDF cage allows you to use the Polaris factory full glass windshield and roof. Both of these are Super ATV roof, Super ATV full glass windshield with a little hand wiper. This stuff, it does go on. It did not just bolt right up like a factory one would. I did have to do some modifications. If you look at the top plate, I had to cut some areas out to make clearance for the roof mounting tabs on the sides. And then I also clearanced the center section out to go around the intrusion bars, because that plate hits on the intrusion bars and it doesn't allow the windshield to go flush down to the A-pillar. Just going back and forth, cutting, grinding, putting it together, taking it apart, and eventually we got it. Another thing I had to do to get this windshield to work on this cage, I had to make these little extensions on the top mounts for the windshield. They didn't quite reach. It was pulling the hardware at an angle, so I quickly threw these together. This windshield wiper is not the best. You can see it flexes. I've already bent the shit out of it once. So I don't know. I might just leave it on there, see how it goes. It's easy to take off if I have to. We do still have a gap here and on the other side, but other than that, it's all right. You definitely lose some of your sight lines, especially in the driver's seat. Right here, I noticed I always want to be looking that way, and you lose that. But I wanted the glass windshield, and I didn't want to pay the price for a factory one. So this is what we got. It's just going to be a winter thing I run. And to go along with the windshield, I have this little wind net thing that I used to run on the factory cage. And it worked out okay on the MDF cage. I just kind of followed down and ran it along with these bars, and you know, it's not terrible. It'll do the job. I can still stick my hand underneath to turn the sound bar on. So I'm pretty happy with how all that turned out. I wasn't sure if that little wind net thing in the back was going to work. That's supposed to just help with air swirling around. But again, that's another thing that's just going to be a winter item. So another thing that I did just for this trip, I removed my front sway bar altogether. Last time we were there, we had this pin set up here just on one side to disconnect one link, and that definitely helped. But I can still see where the sway bar was hitting up against my A-arms, and it's only disconnecting one side. So it does help a lot, but I think there's more to be gained by just removing the whole thing and just getting it out of the way. And for a place like Windrock, it helps a lot. Unfortunately, we didn't even disconnect them until our third or fourth day there, because we're idiots.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
So this time I'm just running nothing. Is it a little sketchier on higher speed stuff? Yeah, but there's not that much high speed stuff you do at Windrock. So when I did that, I also noticed the bushings are real sloppy. At the end of our May trip to Windrock, I was pretty set on not going back till I had better tires, but that's not happening. We're going back. I'll be on the Terra hooks again, but I am going to run a lot less pressure. I think I had 9 and 10 in our May trip. I'm going to run 6 and 7 for this trip and see if they do better. And also, unfortunately, Steph's 21 Trails and Rocks. She's still going to be running those 30-inch crawler XGs. The tire themselves do well, but she could really use more ground clearance. It's not going to happen before we go. We were hoping that all 3 machines would have an aftermarket cage for this next trip. Both Pro XPs do from Midwest Dirt Fiend, as you guys have seen. Steph still has her factory cage. It won't happen before this Windrock trip, but Steph's cage is in the works. Once that's all done, you guys will know about it, I promise. I still got a couple noises that I got to chase down on my machine. I think dude's machine is done. He's definitely only going to be running his 32-inch Rockzillas for this trip. He wasn't really impressed on how the Megabytes did at the Badlands, so he doesn't even want to deal with them. So we have no idea what the weather is going to be like when we're there. I know average temperatures there, I think I was looking, it's in the 50s or something like that. But with it being the end of November and you're kind of in the mountains, yeah, I'd say snow is not out of the question. And I guess we really don't have a way to prep for that. Either way, we're going to have a great time. We're going to be there, I think, 7-8 days, something like that. Quite a few days. So there's going to be a lot of Windrock content coming your way. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and catch you on the next one. Peace!